hoping for company, or are you quite happy?
Just we've got that ironic thing now in the office where it's really hard to find space to do calls, basically.
Is
Yeah.
And most of us spend our time coming into an office to then go and hide away and sit looking at a screen again. We need to change it. It needs to change.
Do you need like a little Zoom room in your offices, or
I
what do
think
you
we
think?
need some little Zoom pods.
A
Yeah.
little
we
pod.
do.
They're like
Yeah.
a little sauna, aren't they?
Yeah. We need some of them.
Last week,
Ah,
sitting in the like seating area bit, the little booth things. They were,
Peter Stewart. Yes.
yeah.
That's a nice bit. But it's again hard to book. I don't know how to book them.
Okay.
Some of this is my bad admin abilities.
Leanne, how are you?
Sorry, I'm just nibbling. So I've just literally shoved food in my mouth. But I'm good.
Perfect. What are you having?
A waffle.
Oh,
Ooh.
like a waffle.
Neat, or with a topping?
It's like a Stroop waffle.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Very exciting. I just found it in the cupboard. I was very excited.
Oh, very
Like
delicious.
Stroop. What's that? Is it apple?
It's like sort of
They
toffee.
Austrian or they're really nice, yeah.
Dutch.
Are they the
Dutch.
ones you put on top of your hot drink?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you do. Yeah, it's great.
Alex knows about these things. Alex talked to us about waffles.
It's yeah. Well, I used to live in Holland. It's a stroopwafel, and it just means syrup waffle, basically.
Mm.
And it's these two thin layers of waffle with a bit of syrup between them. Dutch love them. I mean, the Germans love them as well. Yeah, and you put them on top of your tea or coffee, and then they get all soft, and then you have it with your tea or coffee, and
I
it's
can recommend.
delicious. It's delicious, and it's very much an early grave if you get too many of them in you.
Tell me, in Holland, do you buy a coffee and they just put one on this automatically like
Some
that?
shops, yes, absolutely. It's a thing. They'll just be like, here, and you're like, well, thank you. Initially, you're like, is this my coffee lid? Is this to keep it warm? And you realize, no, I can eat this. This is good.
I absolutely love it. Kate, are you a waffle fan? What's your
Yeah.
favorite biscuit? You are straight away. Tell us.
Yeah, I'm a very sweet tooth person, so anything remotely sweet I will enjoy. But yeah.
Amazing. Anyone else? Any other biscuits, snacks, recommendations for us?
Love a waffle. We bought my daughter a waffle maker
Yes.
for her birthday last Thursday, so that we could use the recipe of waffles that we got when we were in Norway.
Perfect. What are you having with them?
So that, well, they recommend that you put cinnamon and or like fresh vanilla pods in the mix. And you can we had some with cardamom in them as well, which is so nice.
Oh,
A little
really?
bit of crushed cardamom and then a
Spicy.
bit of fruit.
Amazing, incredible. My Mother's Day breakfast in bed from my eldest son, who's now 13, was chocolate pancakes rolled up with squirty cream,
Yes.
dark chocolate chips on top, and then a bowl of fruit salad at the side.
Nice.
Sounds nice.
I've never had a Mother's Day breakfast like that before. That was a bit of a one-off. It's not normal, but I was delighted with that. It was very, very sweet, though. Couldn't eat both the Nutella wrapped crepes. Right. Are we expecting anybody else today? My mouth is watering now thinking about all of this. Let's get started. We've got apologies from Larissa. Sarah's not here. That's unusual, isn't it?
She's in. I've seen her.
Well, okay. Well, she might well join us. So we're at 10:35. So let's get started because there's lots of amazing stuff. I absolutely love this tool. And I know that some of you did it in the taster in the summer. Who was there in the taster session or watched it? Nobody. Okay, so this might be fairly new then. The sessions, I think, are particularly good with Steve on this. So hopefully you got your notes to hand. And as we go through, you can just be assessing how well you're doing in each of these areas and where you're at. You know, if you've already made some changes, then it may feel a little bit different. Okay, so we're launching in with this quotation to start. I wonder if you've heard it before. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. I think we've just been discussing waffles and toppings and biscuits. And I think that we were all into that conversation. But, I might not know. There might have been somebody who we didn't chat to who was thinking, this sounds disgusting. I'm not enjoying this. Okay. But if I go away, think, oh, we had such a nice chat about waffles, then perhaps that's sort of something that I have perceived, but wasn't reality. How do we know what reality is? Okay. So that's the problem with communication, isn't it? If we're honest, if we really focus on communication, we don't always know that what we've heard is actually what happened or what the other person's perception was. And why is that? Well, the reason for that is because in communication, perception is reality. Perception is reality. It's all we have, really, is what we have perceived. Unless we've got a written record of the conversation that took place and we can go back and say, no, look, this is what I said, not that. All we have is the perception that the person had. So it's really important that we go carefully in communication, that we check what's been heard, and that we are intentional in this space. Because everything hangs on this. Everything, all our relationships, and therefore, to some extent, all of our productivity in life and our success or failure depends on how well we communicate. It's so important. That's why we spend a few sessions on it. And this tool is one that I often receive the most crazy things that people say in feedback after they've had a workshop on this or a one-to-one with it. They say things like, that is a game changer. They say things like, this tool has saved my marriage. I often hear things like that. This has absolutely improved 100% the way we communicate as a team. So this tool, if we really pay attention to it and go over it a couple of times, which we will, then it's going to change our reality for the better and not for the worst. So thank you for giving it the attention it deserves. So we start this tool not on the left side, but we do that intentional, awkward thing of going across to the right side, and we begin with those celebration and care codes. And that's a reminder, reading right to left is a reminder that it requires intentionality for us to communicate well. So we're thinking here both about transmitting and receiving, but in particular, we're thinking about transmitting today. When we first see somebody, whether it's a one-to-one or when we first gather our teams, we want to be aware that the things they need to begin with will be celebration or care codes. Okay, so we're in that third/second gear of the 5 gears. It meshes really well with the 5 gears. We're not entering into productivity. We're not entering into work gears, 4th and 5th. We're entering into that 2nd and 3rd space, maybe even the 1st space, recharging together a little bit as well. So usually when you meet someone, they'll have something that's going well or something that's not going so well. So how are you is going to determine which code is needed, celebrate or care, or a bit of both. Celebrate success with me, enjoy the moment, recognise what's been achieved. Particularly important for you as team leaders is that you recognise good things that have happened, whether it's a one-to-one or a team meeting. Okay, what's gone well this week? What are we celebrating? It's lovely to build that habit so that you can make sure that you start off on that positive foot with the team. You've got to limit the time though. Somebody said on the last call, I got so into the Celebrate code that we were doing it for 45 minutes of the hour. Okay, that's way too much. Notice that when we meet for altitude for 5 minutes, we're talking about something uplifting and fun. We're trying to just warm our cockles and warm ourselves up to do some work. So that's what the celebration code is for. 5 minutes of your hour meeting on celebrating what's been achieved so far, especially as a team and especially if you've got a perfectionist streak. Then we're thinking also about care. Be present and listen to me. Don't try and solve me. This was a game changer in my relationship with my elder sister, Jen, who's a nurturer, when I actually started to prioritize listening to Jen, processing where she was at without trying to suggest a coaching tool or a way forward. Okay, it really has improved my relationship with my lovely sister, is to just sit and be. And also I appreciate that when she holds that space for me. So that's best used when you're caring for somebody in your life who you've decided is in that priority circle of care, in that 2nd gear, square squad. If you remember those list of people who are most important to you, it's really helpful to bring them care, and it takes time. But in a meeting, if one person is struggling and that takes up the time of the whole group, that's not a good use of time. And you as the line manager, you as the team leader, it's really important for you to be aware of where care is appropriate and where it's not. So what I suggest to people who are hosting team meetings where somebody in the team might need care is just start with a little breakout. If you know someone needs some care in that meeting, or more than one, people have not been very well lately, someone's relative isn't very well, just say, right, just turn to the person next to you. You know, this works really well in a group of 6. Just turn to the person next to you. Let's just go into 2s, 5 minutes only. How are you? Okay. How's your weekend? How are things? And let's just have that conversation in a one-to-one space. And then let's bring it back together again. Okay. Any highlights, any celebrations, moving on with the meeting. If you let that one person who is struggling, if you let the whole team bring them care, it is just really costly in terms of timing and resource. And it can sometimes leave that person slightly more open than they might have wanted to be. Now 5 people know what I'm going through and I've cried in front of 5 people. That can often afterwards feel a little bit inappropriate. So be careful how you host those meetings and how you host those spaces of care. If you're in a one-to-one, again, you might want to unpack it a little bit, but do try to put a limit on it because, you know, work can, especially if you're a green nurturer, it can become dominated by caring for people one-to-one too much, and that can lead to burnout for you. So those are my thoughts on celebration and care, which is needed, usually a bit of both, but keep steady boundaries and limits on it. Okay, so where does the Bible verse come in case you thought I'd forgotten? It comes in here. It matches directly to the care and the celebration codes. Rejoice with those who rejoice. That's your celebrate code. Weep with those who weep. That's your care code. Okay, so that's a command and it's an encouragement and it's an invitation. Okay, so thinking about those codes, when has someone done that well for you? What did it look like when someone held a really helpful space of care for you? When did someone rejoice with you and celebrate with you? Okay, and can we offer that to somebody else as well? What does it look like to celebrate? Sometimes it might not just be talking, it might be stopping, having a glass of something together or going out for a particular social as a team. So how often are you doing those celebrations and those times for a little bit of extended depth to the relationships? So just want to ask you about. Okay, then we move on to the clarify code. Check that you understand, have patience as I explain, and confirm that you've heard me. So with clarify, it's always good to just, if you're giving some instructions, for example, to your team, is say, right, Rich, tell me what you heard there. You know, repeat it back to me. What was it? What did you hear? I want to check. Put it on yourself sometimes. I want to check I was clear there. I'm not sure how clear I was, so just let me know. And then we can go do a bit of a back and forth to make sure that the important instruction I wanted to convey has been heard. Or if someone's raising a question, before I launch in to my response and to solving it, I might just say, so before I answer that, can I just check, are you asking this? Okay, no, all right, a little bit different, or okay, nearly. What is it? And what we're doing in Clarify is we're like a GP. We are listening out for the symptoms. We are asking around the body. We're checking around the body. That's your team. Okay. Am I completely right here in what I'm hearing? If I rush to the diagnosis before I've heard the symptoms, then I may well misdiagnose. So we go slowly through Clarify and we go carefully through Clarify to make sure that we know what exactly is going on and what exactly is needed. And then before we give the diagnosis, we go into the collaboration session. Okay, so always good to act like a coach here. And a good coach would say to the team or to the individual who's asking you for something, have you got any ideas how we might solve this? Or how far have you got? Have you come up with anything that you think could work here? And here's what I've noticed happens. The person will say no, and then they'll give their idea. So usually we'll go, no, not really. Oh, but I did think, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so wait in that moment, because often people have the ideas within themselves, but they need you to help them. And that's a great thing to do as a team leader, is you help to draw out what they already have, those solutions they have within. Okay, and it means sacrificing our ego. You know, for some of us, we love to solve problems, me included, and it's always nice to get the credit for that. But actually, even better if we can help other people to find the solutions themselves, and then we can help to build on it, and perhaps even to critique it, to say, okay, that sounds really good. I love this bit, celebration again. I love this bit. But have you thought about that? Okay, so help troubleshoot. Where might this go wrong? Let's get this as strong as we can as a team. And that critique code is really one that lots of people find really awkward. We can avoid it altogether, or we can be clunky with it and do it too quickly. As a rule, your blues and your reds can often critique too soon. Your greens and your yellows can often not critique at all. And neither are good, as you know from the support challenge matrix. When we just bring high support, low challenge, we are leading people into a place where they're entitled and mistrust is created. So it's not good to not critique. Equally, if we high challenge and low support, people feel dominated. So we must ask the difficult questions. But what we need to do with our teams and in our families and in ourselves is cultivate a culture where that is actually a happy place to be. And it doesn't come suddenly. It doesn't come uncommonly. So those are the 5 codes. So look at what scores you gave yourself. And can you highlight which are your strengths? Okay, can you celebrate which 2 you do well or are your default codes? And then which is the one that really needs growth? Now, you might need to grow one because you're not doing it at all, or you might need to grow one because you're doing it too much or inappropriately. So which is the one that you think actually needs your attention today? And who needs your intentionality in the communication code area? Is it yourself? Do you need to celebrate yourself more? Do you need to bring more care, more self-care, for example? Or is it your family? Okay. Are you really let down when expectations aren't met because you're not actually clarifying your expectations clearly with your family, is one example. And then move wider. What about your team and the organisation as a whole? Okay. Do you have something you'd like to bring to the higher echelons of Bible Society as a critique, but you just haven't brought it? You've sat on it because you don't know how to bring it well, for example. So there's just some areas there. Community, maybe you've got a neighbour and you really need to build up better communication with them. So be thinking about the 5 circles. Who needs your intentionality in that code that you've identified needs your improvement? And if you're not sure, if you're overwhelmed, always start in the middle and move out, because the greener that self-family team is, the stronger it will be moving further on. Okay, so take a photo of this. We'll pop back into the group chat in a second to see if there's any questions, but make a note of this. Which 2 C's are my default codes? Which is my growth opportunity? Which C do I need to grow? And who needs my intentionality in this area? Okay, back in the room. Any questions on any of that? Is that clear? Great. Let's go. Karen, did you have one? No?
No.
Sorry, because you're off mute. I thought you might. Let's go into the breakouts now, and please make sure that the person you're with, especially if they're a nurturer green, celebrates themselves first. Okay, make them do it. Coach them. Come on, what are you good at? Tell me. And let's learn some good practice as well. Get them to share an example of how they do it well so we can learn from them. All right, see you on the other side. As you go, I'll just recap. What are you good at? What's your growth area? And who needs intentionality in this area? See you all in a minute. Hey, my lovely. Have you finished your waffle?
I have, yes. It was lovely. I've probably got crumbs everywhere.
Ah, not at all. Loved it. Tell us, what have you been talking about? What you're good at? What's your growth area? Who needs it?
I think the things that I'm probably naturally inclined to do, I think I do probably do all of them relatively well if I'm being intentional. But it's the lack of intentionality. If I'm not being intentional, I think I probably skew towards care on a personal level, because I do genuinely really love people and I actually do care about them. And then critique, because I'm quite task focused. And I was saying probably celebrate is my probably worst one, partly just because I have such high expectations. I find it hard to find things that I can genuinely celebrate, because I'm like, but that wasn't perfect. So, I feel like probably some of it is just learning to lower my expectations a bit of what's actually worth celebrating, rather than being like, but there was this little thing that didn't work.
Yes.
So I don't want to celebrate it because it feels disingenuous.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
What-
probably said area-wise, probably family, just because that was probably where I'm least intentional in some ways.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. So, in the area of celebration, you'd like to be more intentional with your family. So you've got to sort of a match. It's a bit like saying it was Miss Scarlet in the library with the candlestick. You know, you've got clear on the three things. Put those together. You're looking for you know what you're looking for in the next phase, a next step in terms of building celebration with the family. Brilliant. Those sorts of specific diagnoses lead to really measurable change, small pattern changes. Love that. And you were with Karen.
It was.
Karen?
I said my main one was celebrate.
Yeah.
Especially for the team, I like to sort of celebrate, things that's gone well. So that's probably my top one. Whereas Leanne was sort of like reverse for me, to be quite honest.
Yes. Well, you're a nurturer and a pioneer.
Yeah,
So that's not
exactly.
that's normal. That's really good.
Yeah. So it's
Go ahead.
totally opposite. Critique, I said, was my bottom one. But then speaking to Leanne, it came apparently I do use critique all the time about sort of thinking about. I do sort of criticize my work. Sort of think, how can I do it better? And I always want the best out of it. So it's interesting to listen to other people's points and think, oh yeah, it makes sense.
So good. So when we go back into the group, you two will be brilliant at coaching each other in your blind spots because it's probably the area of strength for one another. Love that. Rich, let's go to you next.
Yes, I was with Alex. Stereotypically nurturer, celebrate and care are my two easy, strong go-tos. But I think I'm pretty good across all of it, in all honesty. I love to collaborate. I clarify, especially me and my wife. We misunderstand each other all the time, so we're always saying, "Let me just check. Is this what you mean?" That's like the DNA, the natural response for both of us. Critique. I am happy to be critiqued. I am not as good at critiquing. Like I'll regularly have it where a piece of work will come to me and I'll be like, yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then it will go to someone else and they'll pick up a whole bunch of things that is wrong with it. I was talking to Alex around to what extent do I need to get better at spotting the critique, or do I just need to make sure I'm with someone like Leanne who can spot the critiques for me? And I don't know, is my answer to that point at the moment.
Do you not notice the things that could improve, or do you notice them but think they don't matter that much?
I probably notice them but think they don't matter that much.
So it's about motivation then.
Yeah, it's good enough,
Right. Yeah.
Perfection being the enemy of the good sort of thing.
Okay, good. So you need the opposite to Leanne in a sense. She's got that perfectionist streak that's stopping her celebrating things, but you might need a little bit more of that, that liberation in terms of, the quality of the work, wanting that to be even better.
Yeah.
Believing that matters.
It depends what it's for, to be honest, Laura. It will then be a balance between how important is the piece of work, to what extent do we need to care, how much energy do I have to care. If it's clearly a very important piece of work, I'll channel it and do it. If I define it as not that important, well, it's good enough, just get it out.
Interesting.
It's more pragmatic from my perspective.
Okay. Is there any energy conservation there as well?
Yes.
If you were on my couch, if I was psychoanalyzing here, which I'm not, because I'm not one, I'd be thinking, okay. Conserving energy. Interesting. I love the honesty, Rich, and I love that you have found a code that you think you could improve. That's really good to see. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, I think Rich and I were pretty similar in lots of ways. I'm also very kind of care and celebration. That's sort of the default position. With also some care and collaboration. I think that's also a pretty good one. I like the idea of like teams, people working together. There is no, especially like in the work that I do, where you're often going off on a shoot or you're going off overseas. Like the best possible experience of that for everybody is if everyone's getting on and like everyone's on the same page and all working together. So that sort of state is very important for me.
Good.
But the one that I do struggle with, I think, is the critique one. In terms of delivering it, it's okay if I get critiqued and if I know that that is what we're doing here. That's fine. I think it's very helpful. But actually, I think telling somebody something that is critical or is hard sometimes for me anyway, to not make it sound terribly blunt and direct and you know, doing it in a way that's, I don't know, start in other way. It's the tendency is to start where it's like, well, that sucks, and let's let's unpack that.
Yes.
Whereas finding better language is the challenge.
Yes, excellent, good. And that maps to the personality types, doesn't it? The care and the collaboration. You're a nurturer connector, Alex, so you're going to be good at those two, because yellows and greens tend to be. But then with clarify and critique, blues and reds tend to be better at those, as long as they're not overdoing it. But they tend to find that they value those more. They value those more. So sometimes we're better at the things we value the most. But the other lens to put over the top of this is we're ranking ourselves, but we don't know what it's like to be on the other side of us. Okay, so the good to great would be to show the codes to your team, leave the room, go and get a cup of coffee, and ask them to rank you in the codes. If that's not for the faint-hearted. If you feel courageous enough, that could be a way. Or ask your partner at home, which of these, I think I'm good at all of them, but which ones am I really good at? Because perception is reality for the communication, isn't it? Love that. Thanks, Alex. Really fun. Let's go to Sarah. Hello.
Hi. So I found caring was my easiest, but I'm green. And I probably care too much in a way because, and I know that sounds odd, but I probably care too much. It's probably then to the detriment of things that need to be done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm a bit too, I'm over carer.
Yes.
I've always been like that, and I don't think that'll ever change really. I don't like celebration. That might sound odd coming from me, but if someone sends me an email and says, "Oh, thank you so much, you did really well," I'm thinking, "What you send me that message for? What's that about? I don't need. It's my job, and that's quite. You might think that bizarre, guys, but I just find that a little bit like you don't need to send that to me, But I do like to thank the boys for what they've done, so I'll send them an email with some things each week, and I'll say, "I really appreciate everything you've done this week. You work so hard." So I'm easy to give it, but to receive it, it's like, "Oh, you don't need to say that." Critique. I was with Kate, and we were talking about critique. I never used to like my stuff being critiqued, but I think it was the way it was done. Whereas now, I can accept critique a little bit better because it's done in a positive way and not a negative way. So I'm getting better at receiving that. Giving it, I'm trying to get better at being on the other side of myself again. So giving it in a positive way. This didn't quite work. How's it going to work better? Or how can I help it work better? And I said to Kate, one of the team's not done something this week, 3 days running. And part of me was going to message the whole team and say, "Look, this is," and it's like, well, who's doing it. Just message the person.
Brilliant.
And look, so that's what I'm going to do later, but in a positive way, and say, "How can I help this work better?"
I'm going to write that sentence down. That is gold. How can I help this work better? Because that's worked for you, Sarah. You've said, "I don't mind it now because it's done well." And I was about to ask you, give me an example, and you've given it. How can I help this work better? Okay, so it's a collaborative question, doesn't feel threatening. So what we can do, if we need to build our muscle somewhere, we can imitate, okay? We shouldn't shy away. It's not inauthentic. It's not fake to pick up some good practice from someone else and to try it out for ourselves, okay? To just put it into practice. It shows we care. That's authentic. So well done, Kate. You helped Sarah. Anything from you as well? Can you tell us what you decided for this for yourself?
Yeah, obviously, unsurprisingly, as a green, care was my top one, but obviously, yeah, big on the celebration as well. So they're like my faves and my natural tendencies. But yeah, I was just sort of reflecting with Sarah that I'm sort of in a space in work in which actually I'm having to be a bit more like clarifying / critical.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think it's been really helpful actually having this framework because I'm like, I think before I would have just been like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. Like, this is so outside of my comfort zone, and like it's not in my nature, and I don't want to work like this. Like, that's not actually how I want to go about my day / how I feel that it aligns with like who I am or my values. Whereas now I'm kind of being able to say, like, this is what's needed for this project at this time.
Yes.
It's okay to do that, and to try and kind of, I think clarifying I have less issues with, because obviously blue is my second. So like I
Yes.
do like details. So sometimes I can kind of use that in a way of like, how can we kind of get to a clearer place? But yeah, just like knowing that it's okay to like need more clarity,
Yes.
bring
Yes.
some critique, but also knowing sort of when to draw the line, and then also still making time for the green care and celebration that is like what I
Yes.
need to
Yes.
thrive in the workspace. So
Yes, so good. Thanks, Kate. That's really good. So what I'm hearing is there's quite a lot of people saying that their work on is the critique space, is doing it or doing it well. And also there's a bit of celebration as well. So a couple of people saying, actually, I need to work a little bit on celebration, Leanne and Sarah in particular. So we can focus on those now as we drop in and try to find some solutions in this bit. Okay. So do not despise the day of small things, the day of small beginnings, where we actually start to find small pattern changes we can make in order to change. So here's some little facts for you that I think are really empowering and encouraging. In a 2-year research project, Google explored the aspects of their highest performing teams. They found 2 things. Number 1, every person over time spoke for roughly the same amount of time. So everyone felt heard in their team. Rules of engagement, to remember, are really helpful for that. When you're using the code, don't forget rules of engagement. My quieter voices get to speak first. When we're collaborating, nurture a creative guardian, connect to pioneer. Insist on that order, put it into the regular scheme of things so people get used to it. And that way you will hear what every voice feels and thinks. And then number 2, psychological safety. What does it mean? It doesn't mean people are safe relationally necessarily, but it does mean people felt free to disagree with the leader in particular, or with the dominant person in the team, without fear of reprisal, without fear that person might withdraw from them, or that person might feel offended by them, or of just being disregarded. But they knew that actually the leader wanted different opinions. They knew the leader wanted to hear what they had to say and withheld their own opinion, collaboration, until they'd heard from everyone else. And if you as the team leader still decide to go ahead with what you think is right, having heard all the opinions of the team, that's okay. That's okay. And actually, I remember James telling me about a rugby tour where that exact thing happened. The team leader sat down with all the coaches and said, right, I want your opinion on the team selection. And then he chose the team. And he didn't go with what James had suggested necessarily, not exactly anyway. But James said, I didn't mind because I'd been conferred with, I'd been heard, my opinion had been asked and sought. So that's the good thing about being the team leader, is making sure you hear everything, but then the call is yours, the responsibility is yours. And if you go with someone else's opinion when you still feel the right thing was a different avenue, then you will feel frustrated and perhaps resentful. So we're not saying capitulate, we're saying listen and hear and create those conditions, because they're much appreciated in teams. Now, we don't have time to go into it too much today, but part of your preparation was this active listening audit, rating yourself on these things. Again, not for the faint-hearted, but would you be prepared to get someone on your team who will tell you the truth, or your team as a whole, to rate you on this? If you really want to improve, I know team leaders that have done this, print this out, put it on the table, team meeting. Guys, I'm going to go and get a cup of coffee. When I come back, nominate a spokesperson, tell me how I'm doing. You're modeling transparency, you're modeling growth. And actually you're saying, I truly want to improve. Because sometimes, and we see this a lot, we rate ourselves, but we completely miss the thing in our blind spot that is blatantly obvious to everyone else, the broccoli in our teeth. So do we really want to get better? Let's ask people for feedback. So I might do this with my family. There you go. So the code, pick the code that you have said you're going to work on. Most of us have done that. What's your tendency with regards to that code? Are you doing too much of it? Are you doing too little? What's the small pattern change you can have? And here we might really need to dig into motivation. We might need to be saying to ourselves, which part of my reality would I like to change? Which relationship would I like to improve? I'd like to feel a bit better about myself. I'd like to grow my own self-celebration or care. Or I'd really like my team to talk more. They are so quiet. Only that person speaks and me. How can I actually start to make sure that everyone feels heard? So have a bit of fun trying things out with the code, trying out new things. So when you've decided that, we want to get to that place where you can execute a next step. But before we do, I just want to, because I keep hearing so much about critique, I wanted just to highlight the feedback seminar some of you may have attended that we did in the ASG not that long ago. You could watch the whole recording, or this might just be helpful, this, when you're giving feedback. How can you give good critique? How can you give good feedback? Here were the key 5 points I gave. Be balanced, celebrate successes and strengths. So always try to celebrate first what went well before you get to the thing you're desperate to talk about, which didn't go so well. Be specific, okay? Pick one particular behaviour or lack and give a clear example. Don't do what I have a tendency to do. I'd have been a lawyer in another life. I like to collect up all the things, especially with James, my husband. Here's all the examples of how you do that, because I feel I need to make my case and convince him that there is a reason. And that's not cool and that's not kind. I've learned not to do that. So one thing, and try to give the example of how that panned out. And then be constructive. What does it look like to be good in this area? How could they improve? So you can collaborate on that. Or if they want to go and observe some good practice, who does this well? So back when I was a teacher, we'd say, Neil over in the maths department, he does this aspect of teaching really well. Why don't you go and sit in one of his lessons? Okay, we'd do that. Or maybe there's a YouTube video or clip that you could send them and say, look, here's an example of someone doing this thing really well. Okay, so find an example of how they can improve, or tell them what went well, some learning you have taken. Now, here's another really important thing. Be timely. Don't let much time elapse before the feedback, or it will feel unnerving. I've definitely heard that from people, is when someone said, before Christmas, do you remember we had that chat? And you're just like, oh my word, you've been carrying this for 3 months. Oh dear. So try to just think, okay, the past is the past. My new healthy leadership trajectory dictates that I'm going to try to nip things in the bud as quickly as I can, to the extent to which I can do it in person, or at least on a Zoom call, a video call, because then they can see my body language, they can hear my tone. Doing it in other ways isn't going to be so helpful. That's why we need to be present. Try to give it as present. And if you need to make a record, do a brief follow-up email afterwards, rather than delivering critique by email. Never do that. Okay, we really encourage you not to do that at all. Okay, so back to where we were this earlier. We're thinking core process. What is one thing I can do to change this reality? And when am I going to do it? So execution is the when, really. Get out your diary, be specific. Next Thursday, in my next one-to-one with Neil, I'm actually going to celebrate these 2 things he's done well, and I'm going to get into how that meeting went last Friday, and where, how we can improve, using Sarah's phrase, how can we help this work better? Love it. So what is my next step to improve my communication? Okay, one clear next step. All the surveys tell us that when we say out loud, we have accountability and we get to something specific, we are changing our leadership reality just bit by bit. And this is the work. This is the work. Nothing, we're not looking for something massive, just one small thing. Any questions on this bit? Okay, we have 5 minutes in your 2s to get to a next step and then come back and share it. Can't wait to hear them. Thanks, Claire. So what is my next step? Specific, good practice, and timely. When am I going to do it as well? You two are like quick off the blocks.
Yeah.
Well done.
I
Love
think I
that.
did well with the groups this week. I thought, right, what can I?
I haven't been with Kate before in the whole time,
Oh,
so it was quite nice to be
yeah.
with Kate.
And I
So
don't think, I'm not sure if, I don't think, I tried to look back. I don't think Rich and Alex have been together, and Leanne and Karen haven't either. So I feel like I've
it was
good,
nice,
good
yeah.
mix today.
Claire's the nurturer, one-to-one relational expert. Thank you for being intentional, Claire. There, that's really nice.
Yep.
Let's get chatting. Have you either of you got a next step?
Yeah, so I picked up probably from what I'd said to Kate earlier about instead of addressing the whole team about issue, I'm going to address the one person, but make it in a constructive way and make it positive more than, like, how can I make this better? Was there an issue? We loved your bit about Google, so we did. We just thought that was amazing, that what they've done, it was just a real takeaway.
Those two facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. People speaking the same amount of time and feeling that it's okay to disagree with the leader. Yeah, they're cool. They're cool bits of data, aren't they? Helpful.
Yeah, and we were saying as well, it's about, and your illustration about James in the rugby, it was about, I've been heard, so I'm fine with that. And yeah, heard was the word I loved, and Kate had said the word heard, and I thought, yeah, I've been heard, so I'm happy with what's the outcome.
Very good. Excellent. So copying that, and you said you've got that specific person, Sarah, and you know when you're going to see them next.
Yeah.
And you're going to do the celebration with the good to great.
Yeah.
How can we help this work better? Love it. So you're specific. You're done. Well done. Kate, what have you got?
Yeah, so I've got a meeting this afternoon, and I was just thinking, I feel so working on this project with someone, and I thought I haven't done enough praise, and I hope I have not overstepped in terms of, I think so basically this project is like, we need to kind of progress things quickly. And I think when I'm like, oh, we need to do things quickly, I sort of reduce, I still think it's important to have care and praise. And obviously, as I said earlier, they're like the things that I do hold dear. But when I'm like, oh, this has to be done like quickly, I almost see like I haven't got time for those.
Yes.
Like, I have to just kind of get the work done.
Yes.
And so I feel like I have messaged like at the end of each week, say like, thank you so much for like all of that you've done. But I feel like I definitely need to just get a bit more praise in there.
Good.
So I'm going to make sure to start the meeting with like, thank you.
Yes.
Like, what's gone really well.
Yes.
And also just ask for some feedback of like, how is the collaboration process? Because I think I've probably been a bit more like in the like necessity of making decisions. I perhaps haven't been as like an equal balance as it could have been. So
you're going to use the code this afternoon.
Yeah.
Love it. Excellent. And don't underestimate how impactful a tiny amount of time can be in the right code. We walked to school with the kids, or we did a couple of years ago when the boys were at the same school. We walked them to school, and we'd see this old boy. He was actually we didn't know, but he was a retired pastor, retired vicar, lovely old boy with his dog. We'd see him every morning. We'd pass him every morning, and we'd say morning, and he'd say, well done. And honestly, it would lift our spirits, literally just that one phrase. And we were like, what does he think we've done well? And James got out of bed, got the kids dressed. He said, I'm taking it. And I was like, yeah, you're so right. And we'd just look at him and wait for him and be like, oh, thank you. That's so nice. Take it on. And he died not that long ago. And, the story came out of what a lovely sort of selfless person he was. So just that phrase, well done, 2 words. I mean, incredible. So yeah, don't despise that day of small things, those small things that you're doing, those small little patterns that you're building. So good. Let's go next to Alex.
Yeah, so I thinking about the critique thing, I was thinking that we tend to do our kind of PDR stuff, sort of, big ones, twice a year and all that. And if we're lucky, we get to that now one kind of weekly one-to-ones or monthly one-to-ones. But I was thinking that actually with my particular line manager is actually saying, hey, listen, let's put some, so again, if people know what the space is, I think it works for everyone involved. If I can say to him, let's put some time in at the end of the meeting. We've discussed all the other kind of admin-y stuff we need to talk about. Let's put aside some time in which you can allow each other to say, okay, in a critiquey kind of way, I want you to hear this, and you can tell me the same thing. And then it doesn't have to be something that only comes up once a year
So
or
good.
gets to a point. You actually have it in a more regular way where you create that space. Now, there may be nothing. It may be like, actually, all good. But if there is something, then at least you're giving both people permission.
Try it. Alex, sounds like a great idea. Claire, this might be a good chance for you to bring in your comment about the critique code.
I was just going to say, knowing how intentional Steve and Jeremy are, there is a reason that the word is critique and not criticism. And there is a difference between the two of them. And also, if you do struggle with critique, you're not critiquing the person, you're critiquing either the work or the outcome of that thing. So just keeping hold of that should hopefully be helpful.
So good. Sitting side by side can be helpful as well, or walking along together. Right, got about 20 seconds each. Rich, we got a next step?
I'm bringing it in with my kids to try and remember at the end of the day to collaborate and clarify before I critique when they're biting each other, hitting each other, throwing their dinner, that sort of thing.
Did you mean to throw your dinner?
Yeah,
Just
what's
to
going on
clarify
with you? How can we work and help together on this?
So good, though. I love that intentionality. Yeah, I really had a go at Gilbert last night for something he hadn't meant to do, and I'd assumed he'd meant to. So very good. Leanne?
I'm going to try and find things to celebrate that are genuine things that I feel like I can celebrate with integrity.
Amazing. Karen?
Just trying to celebrate more within the team. And we're trying to hold meetings and look for the positive things that's happened during the week. It's been very difficult when we've got a quiet team that don't want to be involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how can you bring that out? How can you try some different things? Use the code, show them the code if need be, and keep going and celebrate your progress. Celebrate trying something new. Okay. So leaving thought here with Leanne in mind is, how did God create you? Genesis 1 and 2. How did he create you? He said, it is very good. He created human beings and he said, and it's very good. He did not say perfect. He said, very good. Okay. And what's very good? Trying things new, trying to improve your intention. Okay. Showing up. Well done. That's what you're doing. We're nearly halfway through. So absolutely awesome work. Keep going. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, fellas.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Have a great day, Karen.